Senate Republicans overcame stiff opposition from Senate Democrats when it came to the nomination of Senator Jeff Sessions to be the next Attorney General. The vote was 52-47 as Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia became the only Democrat to vote for Jeff Sessions. The vote was anticlimactic compared to the fight that preceded it. Of course, most people expected Sessions to actually be confirmed because Republicans hold a 52-48 majority there in the United States Senate. But folks, really what the focus that took place in the waning moments took place on late Tuesday night when Republican leader Mitch McConnell used a rarely invoked Senate rule to silence Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. This after she quoted a 1986 letter written by the late Coretta Scott King urging that Sessions not be granted a federal judgeship because of his anti-civil rights and anti-voting rights record. The move generated a huge backlash on social media with hashtag #LetLizSpeak. Now, some of her fellow Democrats took up the cause of reading the letter from Coretta Scott King as Warren continued to make her case against Sessions on social media. She posted a video on Facebook that has had more than 4 million views.
This is Coretta Scott King talking about the facts as she saw them. That Jeff Sessions, used his office to chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens. The facts may hurt, but we're not in the United States Senate to ignore facts. We're in the United States Senate to exercise our constitutional responsibility to advise and consent on nominees. And my view is that part of my constitutional responsibility is to consider the facts of what Jeff Sessions did when he was the U.S. Attorney in Alabama.
All right, let's talk about the facts of Senate Rule 19. Of course, Republicans used that rule to silence Elizabeth Warren. In fact, the moment it was invoked, she was not allowed to say anything further when it came to the nomination of Senator Jeff Sessions. Now, here's what's interesting. The rule says that no senator should speak ill of another senator during the debate. Now, the rule comes from a situation in 1902 involving this man, South Carolina Senator Benjamin Tillman, who punched fellow Senator John McLaurin after McLaurin called Tillman a malicious liar. That took place on the floor of the Senate. Now, the rule, in essence, protected Tillman, who was an unabashed racist and supporter of lynching. In a speech on the Senate floor in 1900, this is what this racist Ben Tillman said, quote, "We of the South have never recognized the right of the Negro to govern white men, and we never will. We have never believed him to be equal to the white man, and we will not submit to his gratifying his lust on our wives and daughters without lynching him. I wish to God the last one of them was in Africa, and none of them had ever been brought to our shores." In fact, this same racist, Senator Tillman, also condemned Booker T. Washington being invited to the White House by President Roosevelt. In fact, Tillman said that more than 1,000, quote, niggers should be lynched as a result of that particular decision. Folks, that is the basis of Senate Rule 19, to protect a violent, racist South Carolina Senator Tillman that goes back to 1902. So let's talk about the confirmation of Jeff Sessions, as well as all of this drama with our panel. Today in Washington, D.C., Paris Jannard, Legislative Director of the Thurgood Marshall Fund, A. Scott Bolden, attorney and legal analyst and the former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party, Monique Presley, legal analyst and attorney at the Presley Firm, and Amber J. Phillips, co-director of Black. All right, folks, let's get right into it. Here's what I don't understand. Here you have a United States Senator who is reading a letter about a presidential nominee. Now just because he's a sitting senator, to sit here and somehow that she is impugning the reputation of a sitting senator, they're reading a letter that was read during his confirmation hearings for a federal judgeship. I'm sorry. All the Republicans did, Monique, was to hand Elizabeth Warren and Democrats a victory, if you will, by actually raising the ire of folks when it was really unnecessary.
Oh, yes, they gave a bonus. It was a freebie. It was Christmas in the early part of February for Senator Warren and for at least the progressive part of the Democratic Party. It certainly rattled everyone. And the fact of the matter was there were many Republicans who were saying privately and a few publicly that she should have just been allowed to continue. Instead, what Senator Mitch McConnell did was say, stop, woman, go sit in your corner. And it was at a time when she had just finished quoting from Coretta Scott King. She wasn't actually reading the letter at the time that she was stopped. She had read one letter from Senator Kennedy. She'd read another from Mrs. King. And those were things that were quoted in Mitch McConnell's justification for stopping her. And it's just utilizing a decorum rule to the most ridiculous extreme possible. I'm not against the rule. It doesn't matter to me why they started the rule. You need to not be able to punch senators in the face on the floor of the Senate. And if you were able to say,
racist.
And even if you were allowed to say everything you wanted to say on the Senate floor, I mean, then it would be like the executive branch. And come on, we don't want that, do we?
Yeah.
Well, no. I actually, but Scott, this is where I disagree, because I do believe motive is critically important. I think about Governor Terry McAuliffe when he chose to sign the granting of voting rights to formerly incarcerated. That dated back also to about 1902, where a Virginia legislator said this is to keep the darkies from being able to vote. And so I think a lot of times we like to forget our own history. I do believe how things originated, just like the Electoral College was a slavery compromise, is important when you talk about present day. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But and the rule has hardly ever been invoked. I think the more powerful point on this is that this letter and all of these letters were in the Senate record already. Back in 1986 or 1996, these letters are in the Senate record already. And so, senators, I'm sorry, if you're up for an appointment, then you're going to be subject to criticism, period. And then you juxtapose that with the male senators who read three or four of them who read these letters into the record. It simply makes no sense, and just handed Elizabeth Warren and handed politically powerful women and women all over the country this whole issue of let her speak. Just highly inappropriate and unnecessary. And Mitch McConnell is usually very careful with his procedural rules. He really stepped on this rule this time.
Yesterday at the White House during the daily briefing, Press Secretary Sean Spicer addressed this issue. Here's what he had to say.
Obviously, we have a lot of respect for her and the sacrifices that she made and the sacrifices that, frankly, she endured in her life. But I would respectfully disagree with her assessment of Senator Sessions then and now. His record on civil and voting rights, I think, is outstanding.
Paris Gennard, that's a lie. I'm trying to, please, can you, I'm looking, can you please, where's the evidence that Senator Jeff Sessions has an outstanding record on voting rights and civil rights? Where?
Well, I wouldn't categorize it as being a lie, Roland. I think that if you listen to what...
well, where's the evidence?
There's evidence that, look, we can choose which facts we want to look at. There are...
No. I'm asking you, okay? You support this president, his nominees. Where's the evidence that Senator Jeff Sessions has had an outstanding, not good, not fair, outstanding. Where's the evidence that he has an outstanding record on civil rights and voting rights?
That was the opinion of Sean Spicer. He said, I think outstanding, and so that was his opinion about his record. But I will say that there are facts to back up.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Roland, are you going to let me respond?
Go ahead. But first of all, I wanted Shelley to play the soundbite again, just so we're clear, because he said, I think. I just want to be clear. Shelley, play it again. This is what Sean Spicer said yesterday.
Obviously, we have a lot of respect for her and the sacrifices that she made and the sacrifices that, frankly, she endured in her life. But I would respectfully disagree with her assessment of Senator Sessions then and now. His record on civil and voting rights, I think, is outstanding.
Again, where's the evidence?
So you replayed something which backed up what I said. What he said was, I think is outstanding. And that was his opinion. But I will say, with regard to his record, there are facts on the book that shows how he has been supportive of civil rights issues and on the re-upping of the Voting Rights Act, which he supported. And so whether or not he supported the reauthorization of the Voting Rights Act, but when the Supreme Court ruled in the Shelby versus Holder decision, he called it a great ruling because he could deem it to be unfair to the South. He also has not signed on to Sensenbrenner's bill when it comes to fixing the Supreme Court rule that Congress should adjust the formula being used. He has not supported that. He also blocked the bipartisan criminal justice reform bill. Again, I have yet to see. He also said point blank that there was no racial discrimination in voting at all in Alabama, even though we've seen countless cases where courts have ruled against the state of Alabama. We just saw the governor of Alabama close driver's license offices and had a disproportionate impact on black folks getting their voter ID. So the evidence is there. Jeff Sessions has been MIA on those issues. I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm looking, and I'm here in Pasadena, California, and I don't see the evidence, Paris. Well, I just gave you one example, which you decided to gloss over, but there are other examples, especially how he prosecuted and committed the man to death who was a Klansman. Now, when Senator Sessions
case was overstated.
When Senator Sessions was marching in Selma 2 years ago, hand in hand with Congressman John Lewis and other civil rights leaders and members of the Congressional Black Caucus, the hue and cry of him being a racist were not there. I think we pick and choose. I think we pick and choose.
Actually, Paris.
I think we pick and choose. I think we pick and choose.
I was there in Selma.
I think we pick and choose. I think we pick and choose when we decide to do these political games. But at the end of the day, he is our Attorney General. A senator, the Democrat senator crossed the line, Senator Manchin, to vote for him. He is our Attorney General, and we should work together with him and hope that we hold him accountable on issues of civil rights. If there's this big claim that he's not going to be a champion for it, let's work with him and come to the table and make sure that we hold his feet to the fire so that he does, in fact, do the right thing as it relates to civil rights.
Paris, I'm going to correct you. I'm going to correct you. There were a number of us who were highly critical of Republicans going down to Selma for the 50th anniversary, Amber, looking for a photo, and then, oh yeah, it's great to be down here in the foot soldiers, but doing nothing when it came to what they cared about. Here you had the Supreme Court decision. Here you had that decision, and you had Republicans who were in the House and the Senate who were doing nothing. They were there for a photo op to be able to say, oh, I'm here in Selma. But when it came to the issues those same foot soldiers are fighting for today, they have been missing in action.
Right. And what we know for sure is, to me, it's interesting that the Senate rule was used again to protect the racist. What we know for sure is when it comes from Mike Pence to Donald Trump and the fake Black History Month event that he had that Paris was in attendance for, that we see Republicans time and time again talk about civil rights issues that they aren't actually willing to participate in. Jeff Sessions, the letter that Coretta Scott King submitted, stated that Jeff Sessions tried to punish Martin Luther King Jr. and his colleagues for using the absentee ballot to make sure that black folks had access to the franchise to vote. This is happening at the same time the House Republicans just voted to eliminate the only federal agency that makes sure our voting machines aren't hacked. This agency, the Election Assistance Commission, basically was created after the 2000 election when we know things went very wrong. So we're now in a time where our Jeff Sessions is going to be in a position of power to uphold voter suppression, and he has a track record that does not support that he's willing to fight back against voter suppression. At the same time, our president is stating that there's all these election rigging, but they're literally getting rid of the things that are meant to protect us to ensure that we can vote.
Well, so Paris, you actually believe that Jeff Sessions, when it comes to the issue where we're seeing massive voter suppression still in North Carolina, we're seeing people being removed from the rolls illegally in states like Florida, you actually believe that Jeff Sessions is going to be a voting rights proponent?
I didn't say that. What I said was we should hold.
Well, no. I'm asking you. No. Do you believe I'm asking you, Paris. Do you believe that now Attorney General Jeff Sessions will be a voting rights proponent as Attorney General? Yes or no?
I believe that the Attorney General is going to uphold the rule of law, and I think that there's cases where he can be supportive of voting rights and voting rights, not only protecting voting rights, but also making sure that the right to vote is protected and the laws that need to be put in place, that he will be a proponent of that because he's going to uphold the law.
It's clear he's going to use the law in order to uphold white supremacy in the White House, like everyone else who has been confirmed this week.
Here's the difficulty.
20 seconds each. 1 second. 20 seconds each. Final comment. Monique, then Scott.
The job of the Attorney General is not to support the law, it's to enforce it. So when you have an Attorney General who has a piss poor record on civil rights, you're looking at an enforcer in chief who's not going to be doing the job. So we have to have states that are putting into effect and municipalities putting into effect guidelines that influence the way that their police departments do business, so that even if we're not getting the support we need on the federal level, it's done elsewhere.
The danger of Jeff Sessions is that these positions, for your listening audience, these positions like Justice Department have huge discretion on what laws get enforced and which laws don't get enforced. That's the dangerous part, Roland, and we ought to pay attention because Jeff Sessions can be a racist and he can have a photo op in his commercial to be endorsed for the Attorney General at the same time. It's called white guilt, white privilege, white supremacy, and they choose when it's advantageous politically, and that's what you're going to have at the Department of Justice under Jeff Sessions.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. NewsOne Now with Roland Martin, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.